We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live boxing ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live.
At this point, it's getting ridiculous. Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. Grand opening, grand closing. I will show you in this video how ridiculous Ring Magazine is becoming. Supposed to be the Bible of boxing, but boxing fans must be atheists because this ain't making no sense. So I will break it down. They're saying the fight is off, and here's my issue. Let me just jump right into it. I ain't got no time to waste. So you have, this is Ring Magazine, and I want you guys to pay attention because that's why I'm showing you receipts. Ring Magazine 18 days ago. I am not the smartest brother in the world, but 2 weeks, that is 14 days. 7 days in a week times 2, 14. So barely over 2 weeks. 2 weeks and 4 days, right? They just posted this. And I want you to read it. Read it with me. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn 2 set for September in London. Right? So basically roughly 2 weeks ago. And it says Chris Eubank Jr. rematch with Conor Benn will take place September 20th in London. His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh said on Sunday. The card will be a Riyadh season event promoted by Sella, blah, 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 middleweight at 160, like all the details, all the fixing with the 10-pound rehydration clause, just as there was. So you got a location, you got a date, you got the rehydration clauses and different clauses. You have Sella, Boxer, and Matchroom all on board. This is what you said 2 weeks ago, right? Grand opening, grand closing, boom. Now look at it. Breaking. Sources have informed the Ring that both Riyadh Season and Sella are no longer involved in the rematch between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. The Ring has no involvement in the Eubank-Benn rematch. So they went out of their way to put this out and say they are no longer involved or a part of this thing. So 18 days ago, they said they were. Sella is the entertainment from Saudi Arabia, right? Now they're saying the fight's off and it's being reported as off. Eubank versus Benn rematch is off. Huh? Now, I'm a fair critic, people. I'm objective. I am intelligent. I give the fans what they need. This is a bad look. I've previously criticized this very thing. Some people, all they do is glaze. They're like, oh, Turki, he changed boxing. Oh my gosh. And they only seem to talk about the good. They only seem to bring up when like Devin Haney and Brian Norman, that's a good fight. The fight got announced, oh, this is amazing. Turki saved boxing. But where are these same individuals when stuff like this happens? Please let me know. It's like all of a sudden they go into hiding. All of a sudden you can't find these same people who were vouching. This is a bad look. And your boy Ego has been right all along. I previously stated this. I do not like that Ring constantly uses, ever since Turki bought it, not when Golden Boy had it, but since Turki has purchased Ring, they're constantly using it almost like a diary, where like a diary of a teenage schoolgirl, right? Where a teenage schoolgirl, she's totally full of emotions and she got a lot, going on in different moods and mood swings. So one journal entry, she was like, "Oh, I love my family. This is a great family. My mom took me to the mall and everything's good." And then hours later, you're like, "I hate this family." You're writing journal entries about how your family is horrible and you can't wait to turn 18. And it's just like all over the place. That is Ring Magazine. That is Ring TV. All over the place, right? They announced the fight. People really enjoyed the first fight, so people got excited for the fight, right? And then they announced that they're doing a rematch, which I had questions about, and I said that in my content because Chris Eubank, they said he had to get in the sauna and do all this other stuff to make the weight, and making the weight was hard because he's fought even at super middleweight before, and he's getting older, right? As we all do. All that was resolved, they said. Announced the fight. People enjoyed the first fight. The first fight was good. It was a barn burner. And then now, all that for people to then read, all the fights over, breaking news and all that. It's like, how many times does Turkey and Ring need to go through the same thing before they decide to switch up? And like, hey, maybe I should chill with the social media posts and wait until the ink dries. It's like, how can you be that like thirsty to put out information to the point where you're sending, it's like you're using the writers, deadline writers with Ring and your Ring correspondents as your like personal pets. So it's like, text them, here, put this out, make a graphic about this, That's all fine and dandy, but when you have to keep switching it up, that's when it looks bad. The same thing happened for Canelo Alvarez. They said Canelo Alvarez and Crawford are going to fight in the Allegiant Stadium. Then they said the fight's off. Talks have broke off, right? And then everybody was clowning Turkey and Ring for it. Like, oh man, how you let the talks break off between Canelo and Crawford, right? And then they're like, oh, we got Canelo back on board at the 11th hour and he's doing a 4-fight deal. This is not good. This is like, I know some people say all publicity is good and all that. This is not good. This makes you look very rookie and it makes you look very untrustworthy. Like, it is liable to change at any given moment when you're just shooting at the hip and announcing all these fights and then some of them don't stick. So I really don't like this because there are fights that they have announced that I love. I do like Devin Haney versus Brian Norman. I think that's a great fight, but it's hard as a realist, a journalist, a lifelong boxing fan. I can't really get excited for it with this type of behavior constantly going on. It's on, it's off, it's on, it's off. Like, you could paint me skeptical or whatever, say I'm pessimistic. I don't really care. The reality is, with all this back and forth and then the fights not sticking and we announce fights before they're ready and then they fall apart. Like this, I could give you several examples of this. Like talking about Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz, right? Oh, they're fighting. Then they don't fight. Talks broke up. Teofimo's fighting against Jaron Ennis. Subriel Matias. Then the talks broke up. Teofimo and Devin Haney have agreed verbally. Yeah, people get excited. Then talks break up. And then now we don't know who Teo's fighting. And then Devin's moving on to Brian Norman. But let's be real. If I'm being honest, I just told you I personally like the Brian Norman fight. Dangerous fight even. But Teo and Devin is longer standing, and that would be a bigger fight commercially, successfully. I think it would be a bigger fight than the Brian Norman. So some people they like the Brian Norman fight, but they would have preferred Devin and Teo, which is a bit more reasonable. They both are pretty much 140 pounders. No one's done anything at 47 versus Brian Norman, super dangerous. He's a champion at 147, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I'm just not a fan of this announcing the fight and then it topples over days after you said that the fight was going down. You know, it's just like Big Worm said in Friday. He was like, playing with my emotions. He said, playing with my money is like playing with my emotions. You're playing with my emotions, Smokey. You're playing with my when his head was in the cupboard, right? And then now people are talking about, because they were on Ariel Helwani's show, they're talking about Conor Benn and Shakur Stevenson. And it's like, I can't get happy or hyped for none of this fight because we've been here before. If you get hyped for this stuff, then you a fool. Because how many of these fights keep falling apart that they get announced? Shakur Stevenson's fighting Floyd Schofield. Week of the fight, falls apart. Daniel DeBall's defending his title with Joseph Parker. Week of the fight, falls apart, right? Ammo Williams' opponent just went out. And again, a lot of it's happening with Ring. In fact, all of it's happening. I'm not saying no one else has lost a fight due to like an injury or visa issue or whatever. But what I'm saying is nobody else, like Top Rank, Golden Boy, PBC, no one's announcing fights and then 2 weeks later telling you the fight, they don't have nothing to do with the fight and it's over. When PBC announced the fight with Pacquiao Barrios, it sticks. When they said Tim Tszю's fighting Fundora, it sticks. And the only thing that gets in the way is, of course, injury, if a fighter fails a drug test, things like that, like regular stuff. This is not regular when you're announcing fights, acting like it's a done deal, and then it's not. Because no one told you to put it out there. Like, clearly something occurred where the Eubank side and the Benn side are not on the same page. So it begs the question, why did you ever announce it? So if you have a signed contract, ain't that a legal issue? So it leads me to believe that Ring continues to make the same mistake. You're calling yourself the Bible of boxing. There's people who live their life by the code in the Bible. You can't be the Bible of boxing if you're not reliable, because the Holy Bible is reliable. Ring is like fly by night, right? Where they're just like tease you with a fight and then like, oh, something happened. And for me, clearly there was things that needed to be ironed out and the fight wasn't ready for announcement, and you announced it anyway, which is why whatever happened, and now we're not getting it. You know what I mean? And then they try to distract you like, oh, we're not doing any pay-per-view. You don't have any pay-per-view stars. So yeah, there's that, you know? You don't have no pay-per-view stars to do it. And then you had a good fight where you could put Eubank versus Benn 2, at least in the UK, on pay-per-view. But then if the fight's not happening anymore and you're talking about Conor Benn and Shakur or whatever, then yeah, some of these other fights might not be pay-per-view, but the UK would have paid for this, right? They would have paid for this. So I don't like people playing and toying with my emotions. I really hope the Ring gets their stuff together and acts like a real business. You know what I mean? Imagine going to Lowe's and they put an ad in the Sunday paper, said, hey, this lawnmower, this shed is on sale. And you get there, they're like, just kidding. Something changed. You know what I mean? You're like, hold on. That don't make no sense. So it is frustrating to me as a content creator. It's like, it makes you not even, you have to take it with a grain of salt. It makes you not even want to report some things that come out from the Ring because it's so inconsistent and it's liable to change. And boxing, to a degree, there's already a little bit of that because drug test fails, injuries, people pull out for even nowadays, mental health and stuff like that. So you're always gonna, any combat sport, you're gonna run the risk of that. That's normal for the sport. You know what I mean? To pull out with an injury, your hands broke, you broke a rib, you know, you're not suitable for combat. But to announce a fight that's not done and you're not ready to go and then pull it away from fans. I mean, come on, bro. What are we doing? And this particular fight has lineage, with the fathers and stuff like that. And it has now histories with the sons because they proved that they can have a fun fight together. And the thing is about it, like Shakur versus Conor Benn, to me, that's kind of weird. Like Conor Benn is just fought at middleweight and Shakur just fought and defended his title at 135. So that's like a forced fight to me. I'm not with all these Crawford, Canelo moving the guys around in crazy weight classes. I want to see Shakur fight Abdullah Mason, Floyd Schofield. I don't really need to see him move up to fight Conor Benn because they talked a little trash to each other. You see what I'm saying? So the more rightful fight would have been the initial fight that you announced that is no longer the case, apparently. So very disappointing. And the other thing is, y'all was saying like, oh, Turkey has endless dollars. Why are these fights falling apart then? You got the first one done. You announced the second one. So what happened? Be transparent with the public. What happened to the point where now they're not fighting? You know what I mean? It's just like no transparency. We just got to deal with it of you like toying with the news cycle, announcing stuff and then pulling the plug on it and saying, hey, we're no longer involved with this. I feel like you should hash that out before you get to the point of sending the assignment to the writers to put it in print. It just looks bad and unprofessional. And another reason, like, I guess I'm making this video is because I'm disappointed. I like the first fight and I like the rematch, obviously. Why would I not want to see a rematch to a good first fight? So, yeah, I think they're trying to distract you with all the, oh, DAZN's not doing pay-per-view. And DAZN is weird, bruh. Like, they literally, look, they had everybody reporting it. ESPN reported it, now they pulled the plug on it. DAZN came out saying they weren't doing pay-per-views. They said pay-per-view's dead and was taking shots at PBC, right? And then they succumbed and said, we doing pay-per-views, right? Then they said Turkey came out and said, we're going to make pay-per-views cheaper. But then for the bigger fights, he didn't make them cheaper. He made them for the same price, right? And now they're back to saying pay-per-view. They're not doing pay-per-view anymore. So what that basically means is they can't sell any pay-per-views. Because if you were selling pay-per-views and making money and it was making sense and you were getting new subscribers, then you would keep doing it. Every business is trying to improve and make money. Ain't nobody trying to take away something that's working. So obviously pay-per-view model is not working for them, and I see why with cancellations of fights like this. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new, but even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click